Hey mate. Little lizard.
Morning guys. Today is a good day, but my body, not really. I ran for 10 minutes this morning and I actually felt quite sore for the first time in probably a week and a half. Probably because I ran yesterday and went on the bike, so that's my own fault. But I've also probably not been taking care of myself as good in the last 10 days or so. So I need to get back on top of that. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've run for, how fast you are, how slow you are, how fit you are. If you had a break off running and then you start running again, you're gonna have a whole world of problems, no matter what. Plus, it also doesn't help that I'm allergic to cats. And I've gotten used to my cat, but we're babysitting another cat and I feel like I'm starting to get allergic to my own fucking house.
Hello mate, how you going?
We're already getting sidetracked. Let's get back. Now, I love this thing. I've had it for a couple of months and I literally use it every single day except the last 10 days. I use it when I'm driving. I use it when I'm watching TV. I use it on the cat too. I use it on myself. I pretty much use it all day long. But there's a right and a wrong way of using one of these things, especially when you're using it to try and bridge the gap between you getting out of bed and going for your run in the morning. So it's really important that we do this stuff right. Now, these guns work by producing an impactful mechanical force on tissues in your body. See how there's kind of like an amplitude of the head movement? It's pretty cool. Like, you're probably gonna get no benefit at all out of using this on your bone, but that's common sense, you already know that. But you're probably not gonna get any benefit from doing this on connective tissues either, because connective tissues don't have that big influx of blood flow when you put a mechanical input into it, because they don't have direct blood flow. Like your IT band, for example, you know, it really hurts when you use this on it or when you roll it, like on a foam roller, and it doesn't actually do anything. What we have to do is focus on muscles, because muscles are what's gonna actually benefit the most from doing this. You're gonna get an improved range of motion, you're gonna get better blood flow, and you're probably gonna reduce that soreness that you get before runs. And like I said, it's all about getting you from doing nothing to outrunning with no issues so that you can use this to run faster. So how do we do that? There's two ways. The first way is that we follow the direction of the muscle itself. I'll explain what I mean in a second, but the second way is to find specific points of tightness and tenderness and holding in that area until you feel like it releases. So let's start with the quad. I'm gonna draw out all the muscles of the quad and their direction of contraction. Imagine that you have a piece of wood, right? And there's a grain in that wood. I'm no carpenter, but I've heard that you must go with the grain or something like that. That's what carpenters do, and we're gonna do that too. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. So we've got the rec fem muscle. That's this red one here. And so the muscle fibers go this way like this. Whereas the vastus medialis on the inside, they're going this way, like that. And the vastus lateralis, they're going the other way like this, making this direction. And so when we use the gun, we're gonna follow these arrows. Now that's all pretty straightforward, but what is a little bit more confusing is the depth of tissue. Imagine that up here is the skin, and then we have the adipose layer down here, and then we have muscle, and then we probably have a couple of muscles stacked on top of each other, and that's what's going on in the quad. And then we have the bone. And so you can imagine that the deeper that we push this through, the further down we're impacting on the layers. So there's actually another muscle that sits underneath this one, and so you would have to sink through to actually get to it, okay? But close enough's good enough, basically. Don't even worry about that. And so while we're here, we're gonna talk a little bit about the TFL muscle. So if you imagine that you have your hip bone here and the top of your hip here, in between this, in front, is gonna be the TFL muscle. I'm gonna try and, let's go with purple. So it kind of sits there like a fan, and this is what actually impacts into the IT band. So when you're rubbing your IT band and using this on it, it's not doing anything. What we need to do is actually attack this muscle right here, just like that, in the directions. Easy peasy. Now what's a little bit harder is obviously the hamstrings and the glutes, because they are on the back of your body. And so it's really hard to actually manage because they're on the back of your body and you're on the front of your body. So being able to look and also do it at the same time is really hard. But luckily, all of the hamstring muscles are all going in one general direction. And no, I'm not doing the glutes. You guys are just gonna have to figure that out for yourself. I'm not recording my ass. God. Okay, time to do the calf. Two pretty straightforward muscles. You have the gastrocnemius, which is the big fat one that sits on the top. And then you have a deeper one that's the soleus. Now the gastrocnemius has two main heads, one on the inside and one on the outside. You should be able to feel both of them. And then if you go to the end of those two heads, this is where you'll feel most of the soleus and then the Achilles. We're gonna stay away from the Achilles. But I'm gonna quickly draw that out for you. Okay, so we got the two heads of the gastrocnemius, that being the outer head and the inner head, okay? And then we have the soleus underneath. Now, the soleus fibers go directly down, whereas these ones kind of go out and then in. They're kind of like a weird shape. So that's what we're gonna do with these. The next thing that we're gonna do is the foot. And this is like the 4th time that I've shown my foot on the channel, like this week. What the hell? So with the foot, we obviously have the arch and we have the calcaneus bone back here. And between here and here is a lot of connective tissue, but deep under the connective tissue is where all the muscles are. So we have 3 main muscles. The main one moves from here to here in a straight line. Then there's a second muscle that starts on this side and goes in this direction. And then we have a third muscle that continues on that direction going that way. And that's how we get all of that arch strength. So with our gun, we're gonna follow these directions. Pretty straightforward. Now, this stuff's pretty straightforward once you understand the principles. So I'm not gonna go through every single muscle in the body. Like we didn't go through the groin or the glutes or, you know, the upper body, but as long as what you do is you look up the anatomy and see how the muscles are actually structured and then use that to dictate how you're actually going to use the gun. If you can do that, then your efficiency with the gun and how accurate you can be is gonna go through the roof, and you're basically a physiotherapist at that point. So good job, I'll see you guys tomorrow.